Kia ora, I'm Lockie. I'm just sort of setting it up and then I'll let these wonderful ladies take it away and ask the questions.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Oh,
Um,
you're very welcome.
we loved doing one with Wally a few weeks ago with a different group of students, and no, it's been amazing.
Yeah, well, he was good, wasn't he? Yeah.
Lovely, yeah. And we've got one with Noel and Mike next week.
Oh, you had fun with Mike.
Yeah, yeah. Mike's
Yeah,
going to play some songs with us, and yeah, it's going to be a pretty awesome day.
great, great.
But anyway, I'll let these guys take over. I won't steal their thunder, and I'll just be on the side for any sort of technical difficulties.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've had some so far, and I'm supposed to be technical myself, so there we go.
No worries.
Tova, and I'm Kalia. Kia ora, my name is Malak. We're from Hamilton East School. We have been learning about Split Enz, the music, the band members, and singing your songs with our class and Matua Loki's room. We would love to ask you some questions about your time at Split Enz. We noticed that in some of the early posters, the band name was spelled different. Why did you change it to Split Enz?
I'm not sure. I think we changed it just after I joined the band, or just before. And I think they just made it, as a lot of people were saying it, Split Enz rather than the proper DS, you know. And then they thought, well, it ends in NZ as well for New Zealand. So I think that was the reason. It just made a different, just gave it a slightly more catchy sort of a look and sound. Yeah.
It pops up your name. Makes your name pop up.
My name?
It makes the Split Enz band name pop up.
Makes it sort of stand out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's quite right. Yes.
How's the audio? Is it loud enough? I can turn their mic up as well if it's a bit quiet.
I can hear them.
Perfect.
I can hear them okay. Yeah, that's all right.
I found out that you were in the band from July 1974 and left in 1976, and that you played the trumpet and the drums. How old were you when you first started learning instruments?
Well, I I didn't really play trumpet. When I was about 13, I joined the Air Training Corps, which is like a kind of a junior Air Force Friday night thing in Dunedin, my hometown Dunedin. And I was too young to join the main Air Training Corps. I wanted to learn about radio and stuff like that. But the bandmaster told me you could join the Air Training Corps band for a year until I turned 14. And I took home a trumpet. It was actually a bugle. It was a type of bugle with no valves on it. And a friend, another chap joined at the same time, and he took home a pair of drumsticks. And after the first week, we decided we want to swap. I think I'd rather play the drum, and he said, I think I'd rather play the trumpet. So we built up all our courage and asked the bandmaster if we could swap. He said, yeah, of course you can. So that was it. I started playing a marching drum when I was 13.
What's your favorite instrument?
Sorry?
What's your favorite instrument?
My favorite instrument? Well, I like all nice instruments, really, all musical instruments. I mean, for me, I like playing drums, and I can't really play anything else properly. I like to mess around on keyboards because I took a lot of interest in electronic keyboards and synthesizers, that kind of thing. And I have repaired a lot of that kind of thing. But my main instrument is drums when I play. And but I'm also involved now. I do sound to the Auckland Jazz and Blues Club every Tuesday, and we see all kinds of instruments. I think they're all wonderful. We see saxophones, trumpets, trombones. You know, we have acoustic piano, electric pianos, guitar. So any instrument played well is really good that way.
Yeah, I like to try the drums.
Would you? Yeah, well, start practicing. Just get some sticks and learn to get a nice bounce on your hands so you can play start by learning how to play a roll. 2 beats on each stick and let them bounce. Good idea.
How did you and the other band members find each other?
Oh, okay. Well, some of them well, as Wally mentioned, had been at school together. And I'd been playing in a band with Eddie Rayner. He was Tony Rayner then. And that's another story if you want to ask me how we changed our names. But I've been playing in other bands with Tony Rayner, later called Eddie. And then I saw Split Enz playing and I thought, amazing band. And then I thought Eddie should be in the band, or Tony should be in the band. And then next I found out he had joined, and I wasn't surprised. And I saw them again with them. And then he phoned me and said, our drummer Jeff is leaving. Would you like to come for an audition? I thought, gosh, I couldn't believe it. So I went for an audition, and I was the only person auditioning anyway. And then I joined. And I had about 2 weeks to learn the material they were doing before we had a concert to do.
What was the hardest song to perform?
Hardest one to perform? Well, for me, they're all reasonably the same. The hardest song, I suppose, the hardest song for someone to learn, and so learning it from scratch, would be not hard because it's technically difficult, but because it's a big arrangement. Be something like, say, Strange and Fiction, Time for a Change. Might be.
What inspired your funky, colourful outfits?
That all came from Noel. Yeah, Noel was like a sort of an outside member of the band. He used to appear on stage, just be there, not doing anything in particular, and doing theatre, because we were only playing in the theatres in New Zealand. We didn't play in any other venues, but just theatres. And so it was like a theatrical performance, and Noel would be involved. And then Noel started making costumes for us. And we wouldn't get to try the costumes on until just before we played. If we had new costumes, we'd have. So that was kind of fun.
Did you like your wacky hairstyles and makeup?
Oh yeah, well, when you're on a stage in a theatre, you'd wear a certain amount of makeup anyway, and we just went a bit more overboard with it. And my hair wasn't quite as mad as the others, but everybody had crazy. Yeah, we just thought we were Split Enz, and this is how we looked, and we were different, and we didn't really worry about what people thought.
Makes you cooler than the other bands.
Yeah, in some ways, but then the other thing was that the band was quite good musically, so we could not only look a bit odd, but the band could actually play quite well. Yeah.
What is your favourite memory about being in Split Enz?
Just the enjoyment of working on songs, of playing the shows, but also the enjoyment of working on songs. Phil and Tim would come along with some ideas, and we'd all jump in and put our ideas in, and the song would develop. I can tell you one song we did. This one it's on Through Colours, and that was a song called Sweet Dreams. And that started off as a fairly quiet song, but on my way to band practice, I heard a song by Led Zeppelin for the first time, a song called Kashmir, which is fantastic. And of course, I just started bashing away when Phil started playing the song. He started with this quiet acoustic guitar, and I just went, ba-da-da-da-dum. And that's how the song stayed. I mean, it's nothing like John Bonham's drumming, but it was after I heard Kashmir that it made me play the song that way.
What's your favourite music video that you were a part of?
Oh, maybe the one for Sweet Dreams.
Well, I'm wasting my time clutching at straws, yeah, low down wow.
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people quite like it, don't they? It's a nice song, actually.
My favourite one was 6 Months in a Leaky Boat.
Oh, yeah, that was long after I was in the band. Yeah.
Did you have a favourite place to perform?
well, we liked playing in the theatres. Was always nice, or something like or in town halls. And there was a nice theatre in Melbourne. I can't remember the name of it now. A nice smallish theatre. It was very nice to play in. But we didn't. Yeah, just playing in any nice theatre with a curtain and everything was always very nice.
What is the biggest stage that you've performed on?
Actually, the biggest. It would have been while I was in the band. We did some support. So that means you're supporting another main band, and it's quite important when you're getting started to get to play at a big show with supporting a main band. But it's also important that you support a band where the audience might like what you're doing. You can't just show up and play to somebody else's audience and hope for the best. So one of the first ones we played was on a big stage. Would have been when we supported Roxy Music in Sydney, and the audience appreciated us as well. And then later on, we played two big shows that I can think of on big outdoor stages. One was they were both in Perth. One we supported Frank Zappa's band, Frank Zappa, and another one we supported Santana.
What did you
So
like?
while I was in the band, the big stage were mainly support type shows, not we weren't the headliners then.
What did you like about playing in a band?
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I've always liked playing. Yeah, I think a lot of young people just like the idea of playing in a band, either playing music they like, or working on your own songs. But it's good if you like some music, you want to play it. We like bands that do covers. They learning songs by other people, and it's a good way to learn extra skills, because you might have to play something you wouldn't normally do if you're copying what somebody else has done. So you build up like a toolbox of skills.
Yeah, I would love playing in a band.
Yes, well, everyone loves the idea of doing it. As long as you're into playing music, enjoying music, and like the idea of playing to an audience, well, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And a lot of practice.
Did you always like the music you played?
Yes. Always liked the music I played. Always liked the music I played with Split Enz, and when I was playing in cover bands as well. Yeah, mostly enjoyed the music.
What inspired you to make the album Mental Notes?
Well, that was the band wanted to make it. Every band wants to make a recording, and then it was quite difficult. And now people can do something at home with their computer, but then you had to go to a studio. You had to have someone paying for that. You had to preferably get a record company deal, or be signed up to a record company. So when we went to Australia, we did get signed up. We got signed up to Mushroom Records, and we made the first recording in the studio, and that was Mental Notes. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Everybody wants to make a recording and get the recording released and get the music out there and hopefully sell some records. And back then, that's how it was. Just the only way you could get the music was by buying a vinyl record.
You made the hot cake guitar distortion pedal and the bass guitar distortion pedal.
Yes, I do. Yep, that was an idea I had. I was still with Split Enz in England in 1976, and when I had the idea for the circuit.
How did it change the band's music?
It didn't make much difference to Split Enz, because I left the band not long after that. But later on, when they were over here, and Neil Finn's distortion pedal. I've got one. He had an English-made one, was playing up, and it was a bit difficult to fix because everything was covered over with black pitch, all the circuit, so he couldn't really. So I gave him a hotcake but I loaned him one, and he still got it. And I don't know. I think playing through nice equipment, if people like a hotcake for the guitar, it helps the way they play. Maybe, hopefully.
Are you still in contact with some other band members?
Yes, mostly Eddie, our keyboard player. Yeah, we keep in fairly regular contact. I see Mike Chan occasionally. I've been to Neil Finn's studio a couple of times. In fact, a few of us got together almost a year ago, and we played a few old songs at Neil Finn's studio, and Neil joined in.
Do you still play music or are involved with any other bands?
Am I still involved with other bands? Well, I play in a blues type band. We just practice on Monday nights and have a cup of tea, just to keep playing a bit. But I also do quite a bit of work doing sound for other bands, sound mixing for concerts and that kind of thing.
That's cool. Thanks for speaking with us. We think you should bring back Split Enz sometime.
That would be good. Let me show you something. I've got we had these posters when we first did Mental Notes in Australia, and that was with Wally. And I've got a framed one hanging on my wall, so I'll turn it around. I'll point this towards it and see if you can see it. See that?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so we had those great big posters. We had them to hand out to people. They were great. And I'll tell you another story if you've got time. If you ever look carefully at the painting, and you'll see those brown marks above our heads. And the painting was Phil Judd had done the painting long before we made the recording, and we were in Australia, and the painting was printed onto hardboard, that brown sort of board. It was painted on that, and it was getting photographed. And the photo was sent over from New Zealand, and the colours weren't right. So we asked them to send the original painting over, and apparently it got damaged in the studio because a light fell against it and cracked the board. And it's very hard to put a crack like that back together with hardboard. So Phil Judd, and I saw him doing it, he got his paints out and he added more cracks. He just left the ones as they were. He added more cracks, and you see one crack goes right down through his own face. He just did it in no time. I couldn't believe it. So that's why those marks are there.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Really is.
Do you want to know how we changed our names?
Yeah.
We got time for that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, after we played with Roxy Music, we went back to our hotel in Sydney, and we're all very excited having played with Roxy Music. We got to play to a good-sized audience for the first time in Sydney. And our singer's name was Brian Finn. And Roxy Music's singer's name was Brian Ferry. And we said, oh, hang on. Well, their drummer's name is Paul Thompson. I'm Paul. So that name matched. And then Phil Judd was one of our guitarists, and Phil Manzanier is the guitarist with Roxy Music. And then we said, oh, the keyboard player, his name's Eddie Jobson. It doesn't match Tony. And Tony said, my middle name's Eddie. Right? And then Tim said, well, Brian said, my middle name's Tim. Tim, full of vim. I quite like that. What's your middle name? Croft. And that was my nickname. And I said, oh, it's Emlyn. He said, what? I said, oh, Emlyn. Oh, that's cool. Okay, we'll all use our middle names from now on. which we did, except for Phil Judd just stayed Phil, and Mike Chun changed his name to Jonathan Michael Chun. So that's how the name change came about.
Why did Phil never change his name?
He would never do anything that everybody else did.
He liked doing his own stuff.
Yeah, Philip's middle name was Raymond, so he would have been Ray Judd. Yeah, so he just stayed with Phil Judd. Okay.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us today. It's been such a cool project for us over the last few months. It's been pretty special, and we've had a few cool newspaper articles written about us in the last week, which has been quite nice.
Yeah, it's wonderful, Lockie. Yeah, that's great.
So we really appreciate your time, and we'll make sure to send you lots of videos as well from our performance and our songs next week.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're doing Time for a Change, Stranger Than Fiction, Sweet Dreams, and a couple others, I think. So it's gonna be pretty cool bringing them back to life with Mike, and we have a few high school students coming back and create a bit of a band with us, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah, you know, some Time for a Change when the instrumental comes in, all the snare drums, all the drums are doubled.
Yeah.
I played all those. It's not echo.
Far out.
I thought how to make it an offbeat sound big without just making it louder. I thought, oh, just double it.
Yeah.
And it may have been influenced a little bit when I think about it now, maybe from hearing David Bowie's Life on Mars, which where they did use echo on drums.
Yeah.
I thought I'll play them. So I just, instead of playing every beat as a single beat, I can show you. Instead of just playing, instead of playing, so I've got to, so every beat was instead of being.
That's so cool.
That's all it was, yeah.
Yeah. Was David Bowie quite a big influence for you as a musician?
Sorry?
Was David Bowie quite a big influence as you as a musician back then, or just because it was such a big song?
Tony Rayner, later Eddie, and I were in a band with Alistair Riddell. We had a band called Orb, and Alistair introduced us to Bowie music.
Yeah.
And he had the album Man Who Sold the World long before it was ever released in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
And we were playing songs off Man Who Sold the World, including the song Man Who Sold the World.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think there was Ziggy Stardust came out, and I think Man Who Sold the World got released later in New Zealand. So we were playing a lot of Bowie songs, and we were doing some music by Yes.
Yeah.
So we had to go doing Roundabout by Yes. So
so was it mainly a covers band for you guys, or did you have some original music as well and that you played?
No, we had some of our own stuff too.
Yeah.
And then later on, of course, he had another band going, which he called Spaceballs.
Yeah.
And that's when they made the song Out in the Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Because am I right in thinking that David Bowie recorded one of his albums on the mixing board Neil Finn has in his studio now?
I have no idea, but I think that one, apparently the mixing board, the Big Neve mixing board, had been Pete Townsend's.
Yeah.
And had been a studio in New York, but I don't know any more than that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's got an amazing history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure. So yeah, thank you for letting us chat to you, and it's so cool talking about the Split Enz Mental Notes album 50 years on.
It is 50 years. Unbelievable. Yeah.
No, awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, all the best. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye now.